All right, zip, zap, zap. Here we go. Zip.
Zap.
What? I don't know this.
Cool.
I don't know. Zap?
In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Katherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks. These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm pretty tired. I didn't sleep well, but I'm going to flip a little switch in my soul.
Okay, before you flip it, maybe do like 10 jumping jacks.
No. This is a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought maybe it was like a technique you had.
It's a bit I'm champing at. I'm champing at the bit.
Yes, exactly. To flip this tiny switch. Here we go.
Describe the tiny switch before you flip it.
Yes. So I've always had this little raised mole thing on the back of my neck.
I got that
And
removed.
if you do left down, right up on it, it switches everything.
Left down, right up, left down, right up.
That's
Exactly.
just a circle.
Left, yeah, but you have to do the cardinal direction. You have to do it's like a D-pad.
All right, are you going to flip it?
What?
Are you going to flip it?
I did.
Oh, I
We
thought
do
you
we are.
quarter circle.
I know
circle.
the more you use it, the less magic there is in the universe. So it's like, it's like, here, I'll try again. All right. Whoa! Oh, you guys.
There you go. That's okay.
Oh, guys. Whoa. All right, come on.
Chris
Are
is
y'all ready?
back.
Y'all ready for this?
Jock Jam's edition of Anidorks.
Chris, can you flip the switch again?
Jock Jam.
Flip the switch again.
Flip it back.
Flip it back. All right.
Who's got this new bandana and everything's just...
I know. I did. It's got
Wait,
whales
Chris,
on it.
show me with your
cool.
bare hands again. What do I have the thing? You said, do you have the thing?
I remember an Angry Beavers joke that was like, we're going to go skating in our bare feet? No, in our bare feet.
There's also the Family Guy right to bear arms.
Yep.
And it's like, you have the right to wear bear arms. Anyway, all right. You guys ready? Eddie, you want to read this first one?
Yeah, we're in a
Chapter
hole.
19.
We're in a hole.
As
I'm starting the
Eddie
timer.
was all last episode.
Nice.
I thought of it as more like a pocket dimension, but
That was unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, I'm starting the timer. 6 minutes for chapter 19. Here we go, babes. Let's go.
Chapter 19. Tobias, the only Animorph without a Batmorph, acquires one. They all enter Batmorphs and then fly towards the exit of the cave, using echolocation to navigate. But then they notice something, another passage. This one does not lead outside, but deeper into another cave. Have they just found another route to the Yeerk pool? We could just go home, Jake Thought speaks. Rachel wants to encourage this. She's tired. But that's not her role to play in this group. And it's so hard to change once you found your role to play. Let's do it, Rachel says.
We have to go deeper.
We have to go deeper.
This is Inception before Inception. So
this
caves
is,
within
now,
caves.
So this is like, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is part 2 of the bat poop extravaganza, right? Like, we just didn't talk about that in the summary. But they're still, like, rolling around in it. They're like, here, catch a bat. Like, Rachel throws a bat.
Yeah, it starts with, here,
says,
have a bat. Yeah, that is true.
Here's a bat, and Marco
the bat
teases...
boy, if you will.
In baseball, that's totally frowned upon. You throw the ball, not the bat.
Well, what do you do with the bat after you hit the ball?
You throw it at someone to knock them unconscious.
Yes, exactly. The pitcher throws the ball at you.
See,
it's the least you can do.
And that's bunting. That's bunting when you throw the bat at the pitcher.
I learned all of this. I learned all of this from our wonderful Discord Patreon members who just taught me a lot about baseball.
They did?
See, my understanding, having only been to like T-ball and Little League games, was that when you hit the ball and you're like, once you hit the ball, you stare wide-eyed at your parents asking what to do next because they're the ones who know.
Ideally sobbing so they know it's urgent.
I didn't think I was going to hit it. What do I do now?
Fun fact. I don't know. Have we talked about Big Green? We probably talked about Big Green.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all
Eddie and I met when we were 5.
And hated each other.
Is that true?
No, that was third grade.
You didn't hate each other till 3rd grade.
You just hated me in 3rd grade. I liked you in 3rd grade.
Chris lied to me about hurricanes.
Chris lied to me about tornadoes. It's kind of a theme.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm just over here trying to make fetch happen. That's just, I was like, so I want to talk about this though, because at some point, Jake, after inhaling all the fumes from the bat guano, starts to trip out a little bit and starts to realize that there have been no great battles in history that have to do with oatmeal. Like, there's not a single one. And I thought of a few examples that I think he missed because he goes to list a few. He's like, what does he say?
I can give you the quote. I can give you the quote because I actually have it here. Battles that involve oatmeal are just never going to end up being historic, Gettysburg, no major oatmeal involvement. The Battle of Midway, neither side used oatmeal. Desert Storm, no oatmeal. Because I have some comments on this too.
But therein lies the rub, because for Desert Storm, which was a famous conflict during the Bush administration, that did involve a scoop of vanilla ice cream on a baked oatmeal square. I don't know if that counts.
Which Bush administration?
Yeah. And the HW. And
okay, because I was going to say maybe it hadn't happened.
Also, I believe World War I started after Archduke Ferdinand finished his morning oatmeal and the fiber hit his tract and he had to go to the bathroom and he was assassinated on his way to the bathroom. I think
we often are.
Famously. So I don't know if that counts as oatmeal related or oatmeal adjacent, but I
want to hear more about the Dirt Storm because that sounded really good.
Desert Storm.
Oh, Desert Storm.
Sorry.
Yeah, Desert Storm, Desert Storm.
Ah, yes, there's the joke.
I want to say...
I thought it was just a tasty dessert suggestion before. And...
What makes that a dirt storm? Is there cocoa dusting? I don't understand.
I thought it was great branding, actually. I was sold.
Thank you.
I thought maybe you worked that friendly.
I'm really glad you were willing to yes and me if I come up with the joke dirt
Friendly's
storm.
Did have a dirt Sunday or something, didn't
Chris.
they? Yeah. It's like puppy chow or like things like that. It's the kind of...
You know what I don't like? The TikTok... I'm sorry, I'm really going to take us off. But the TikTok trend where they make... It's like puppy chow, but it looks like really dirty cat litter, and they put it in a cat litter box, and then they eat it with a spoon.
That's your For You page. The For You page, listen.
This is just your thing.
I won't watch it.
And when you pay for this stuff on OnlyFans,
when they say the chat reflects the streamer, your For You page reflects you only. Okay.
So it's not like this. You know that thing that was happening on TikTok? It's like that was not happening. That was like one video that you saw.
Watch it. I think
you obviously did.
I think this is what I wanted to come back to from this, though, was the bat guano. That's why I brought up the cat.
Anyway.
I want to hear Miranda's dessert or oatmeal thing.
It wasn't. I was just going to say, I think that Jake's listing of these battles in which there was no oatmeal is further evidence that he's been going to improv and comedy classes because it was a perfect rule of 3. Mm-hmm. We had the short and pithy delivery by the end. We had the long drawn out, and then, but also be the change you want to see in the world, Jake. You can make the difference.
Right.
He's funny. He is funny.
He's learning.
Kind of.
He's learning to be funny.
He's learning to be funny.
Much like are paying off.
Much like we are. Anyway, all right. So
also, just the theme of playing a part seems to be in this group of books, definitely. Especially in Rachel books, always a big theme, and it's always a theme for them. And I think that resonates with like the age that they are, where you're like learning who you are as yourself versus who you are to others. But like, I don't know,
totally.
It always hits me in the heart.
Yeah.
So we think that might change with time. That we think that this role fixation might change in future books. That they might become more comfortable? Or
Maybe.
I'm not,
Might get more
I'm not
settled.
totally hopeful. We're in the first third, so we're
Yeah.
probably...
We haven't learned to regroup and come back yet. Like, we need to use a go home. Like,
they should have
from
been
Persona.
like, okay, we dug the hole. Let's rest for a week and come up with a real plan.
Oh, look, we happen to find this really convenient way in. Maybe we should regroup and use it.
Now, at this point, there's a high likelihood that it actually won't go to the Yeerk base, I think.
That's true.
Like,
They don't know where it goes.
but they seem
yet.
confident, so...
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested why you say high likelihood because they were like planning to dig here, hoping to get in via Tobias's observation. So it's like they had a hunch.
They don't know that it'll go all the way there, though.
Yeah,
they don't know that
that's
it'll,
true.
like...
Yeah.
They
That's
know
true.
that
Maybe
it's,
it'll-
like...
They might have to mole up and dig some more.
Yeah, they know it's connected to
You're
a
right.
cavern, but they
You
don't know
guys
that
are
it's
right.
the cavern.
Should we? I had a couple more, warnings about rabies and stuff, but that can just be Patreon content. I'm down to go to chapter 20.
Rabies
Okay.
will fuck you up. Don't
Oh
get
yeah,
rabies.
don't get it. You'll die.
Rabies.
Pretty much everybody dies. And we
yeah.
don't know why the people who don't die, who weren't vaccinated, survive.
Didn't die. We have
We-
no
we
idea. That's
don't know
exactly
why.
right. There's
I don't
just
like
some...
to think about it, though, so...
Yep. So chapter 20. All right. Who's reading this one? Me?
Sure.
All right. Let's go.
Oh, this is the beautiful.
Do you want to read it?
Okay, yes, I'll read it. This is the one that I was seeing when I wrote my note in the Discord about
Let's go then.
Chapter 20. The gang flies through the passage into the vast underground dome of the Yeerk pool, the same one they infiltrated in book 1. Who says you can't go home again? Of course you can. You just gotta fall into a hole, turn into a bat, and then zip around a cave until you find it. The Animorphs explore the underground base, searching for a way to bring those iconically flavored oats down here and then
Oh my
feed
God,
them
the
directly into the mouths of human controllers. Or Cassie
fanfic
Thought
is
speaks.
strong.
Oh yeah, it's strong. Or Cassie Thought speaks. We could probably just pour the oatmeal into the Yeerk pool. Holy fuck! Rachel exclaims. Yes, dump that shit directly into the Yeerk pool and churn it in with the Yeerk lube. Make them gulp down that maple ginger goodness with their little Yeerky mouths. Don't be stupid, Tobias says. Yeerks don't have mouths. Of course they have mouths, Cassie says. I would know. I live in a barn with horses. Nuh-uh, Tobias says. Unky Axe says that they have osmosis nodes. That's a fucking mouth, Rachel says. It is essentially a mouth, Axe sighs. Or, as so similar, your puny human brains wouldn't know the difference. Suddenly, hunter robots, 2 shiny steel orbs, each about the size of a beach ball, each its own wonderful zoomy boy. Zoomy boy go fast, too fast, firing Dracon beams at our beloved bat children. You're seriously gonna act like you know what a mouth is better than my best friend Cassie, Rachel roars? You guys, stop fighting, Jake whined. Those zoomy boys will reach us any second. No, Tobias said. Unky Axe said that they only have what passes for a just like that, Tobias is shot out of the sky, dead instantly. No, not really. K.A. just gave him back his morphing powers, which means now he can heal. And so now you just know that K.A. is gonna fuck him up. How many books has she had to go without hurting Bird Boy while amputating all of his friends? Well, now she has a new plaything, and you know what? Tonight she's hungry for Hawk Boy blood. The rest of the Animorphs catch Tobias and carry him to the ceiling where he dangles upside down like a car air freshener.
Oh my God.
Then, swoo! The hunter bots zap Axe out of the sky. How many books has it been since they did that? Just one, you say? Turns out Axe is fine this time and just sort of weakly flaps here and there. Marco asks Unky Axe if these hunter bots have any weaknesses. The lens. Oh, I'm sorry. The lens. Fuck. The lens, Axe gasps. Cassie and Marco begin dropping small rocks on the orbs. That takes out one of the bots, but the other one aims at poor wounded Tobias, his one little talon barely hanging on. Osmosis node, he whispers. Rachel conceals Tobias behind one of her wings. No, Tobias. The hunter bot blasts her wing off, leaving only a bloody stump. As she plummets down into the Yeerk pool, Rachel manages to turn her body until, just before splashing into the Yeerk pool, she looks Tobias directly in the eye. Her last word, mouth. Almost none of that happens.
Yeah, almost none of that. Yeah,
I feel like this might be the first
do you remember,
chapter written by a ghostwriter. I think.
Yeah. Do you remember back when we started this and I'd just make shit up and before we had summaries?
And Eddie, even after that, when you would add things into the summaries, and Eddie would go, "Remember, Chris, the listeners are using this as a way to know what's happening in the book."
Eddie has a doctrine about how to podcast, and every single time we log on to a call, I start the Zoom meeting up, and he goes, before you start recording, I'm going to remind you, podcast listeners are idiots. And so, Eddie says that. He says that, and he covers his mouth while he says it, so that in case I screen cap it, yeah.
We did have a director who taught us that as children.
No,
remember,
not that podcast listeners are idiots.
No, just remember the audience are idiots. You have
but also that was his way of saving face for his weak directing skills.
That's true.
The point.
Eddie left only one note for this chapter. Just says this was a wild one.
Yeah. Do you want to expound upon that? Do you want to talk?
It's just the whole ghostwriter thing. It's just with a different flavor.
Can we talk about the mounts? Because I just want to know, if osmosis node doesn't really give mouth to me, but what it does, but what I do want. It's not giving mouth.
It's not giving mouth.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But what I wanted to say is we now have it confirmed that they have mouths, but do they use them for kissing? Are the Yeerks all in the Yeerk pool just making out the whole time?
Well, osmosis node would imply to me that you could kiss simply by holding hands as a Yeerk. You know what I mean? If you hold hands with your osmosis node. You know what I mean?
I was imagining more of a pucker thing, but...
you know what? Lips are not on the table for osmosis node.
Node gives me maybe a raised bump. Maybe you know what I mean?
Kind of like a nipple.
All picking up.
No,
that's a great example.
But not in my mind. Let me rephrase. Sure. That's not what I was picturing.
You said a raised lump.
You guys, we're so screwed. We're so screwed. So the other big return in this chapter that I really love is when they're talking about the osmosis nodes, they do the bit where Axe wasn't paying attention in alien anatomy class.
Yeah.
Again, that is a running bit. That's a thing we're just going to do now for the rest of the series. Is they're going to say, "What can you tell us about the anodes?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I was daydreaming during that class. I never paid attention." And
was it andalite bra straps or something? I said.
What was it?
It was he was distracted by a girl andalite,
right,
and I was
right.
and I was like, "Oh yeah, her bra strap was showing or something." It's girls used to get in trouble for that in high school. It's you'll distract the boys, and I'm clearly, Axe was very distracted. They use the term exobiology, which I found interesting, and I'm just going to hit real quick because I was did they not know the word xenobiology? It turns out the basic difference is that exobiology is real and is the real study of potential life on other planets. If we were using the word in, as humans, we would use exobiology, and xenobiology is the cryptozoology of aliens.
That's cool.
Yeah, so...
Should we talk about the hunter bots? They're not super interesting.
I don't know why we've never seen them before.
They don't
have one theory.
Flesh bearings.
Yeah.
I don't know why I care.
My only theory is that Visser 3 got an increase in budget when they stopped having to send all the money to the underwater base.
Yes.
And that's why we suddenly got these GLEAT biofilters and these hunter robots because, they stopped sending all this money to drill into shark brains.
Yeah. That was a wild initiative. And it's just crazy what you can get the funding for in tech, as we found out this week.
I want to know how she pitched it, because that was Visser 1's project, right?
It's true.
When she gets hit, and she's spiraling down.
When Rachel gets it.
Yeah, she's turning her body to look back at Tobias.
Right. So she is now falling in perfect echo to Edelman. It is such a nice, like, initiation into, we've been building towards this. We've had the buried alive narrative. We've had the falling. We've had it multiple times. Like, everything in this book has been paying off, which is why it's like 30 effing chapters long.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how much stuff there is here. And we end the chapter with the fall, and we're about to continue into the fall in chapter 21. Does anyone have anything else they want to hit?
They also tried to carry someone again. So that's another...
Yes,
like,
but I think...
You're totally right. Even bring the Edelman scenario even further back into mind, they mimicked 2 parts of it.
And just for the continuity, the ease of continuity, at the beginning of this chapter, she calls them off in trying to catch her specifically and tells them not to try and save her, which is kind of like this, like, what would have happened moment with Edelman. She's like stepping into his experience almost in like metaphorically. Yeah. Obviously she's not like jumping from a tall building.
And so, and following this, we can expect to see Arnold Schwarzenegger or someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger pull Rachel from the pool.
Right. Yes. Someone age appropriate to do the mouth to mouth, because Edelman was older. So
but not
Edelman,
Jeremy Jason McCole.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Not Jeremy Jason McCole. He's off the list.
No,
but, all right. So
more of a Devin Sawa, I think we're looking for here. So.
I don't even know who that is. The only reason I brought it up is because I just remember how big a point they made out of the mouth to mouth in the first chapter.
True.
I was like, I want to be clear that's not happening.
Did you see Final Destination? That was Devin Sawa. Okay. Chris, you saw Final, please, Chris.
I don't remember though.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Chapter 21, maybe?
Yeah.
All right. Da-da-da. Bat Rachel splashes in a pool of Yeerky boys. Jake and Cassie try to save her, but she calls them off. At first, Rachel is terrified, surrounded by Yeerks, watchful for Hunterbots, flapping her remaining wing to try to swim. But the Hunterbot seems to have left her for dead, and the body of something as small as a vampire bat is apparently of no interest to the Yeerks. She's too small to infest. The size of the head seems important. These Yeerks, they just bump into Rachel with their osmosis nodes. I don't know. I'm just riffing here. I don't know why Eddie didn't write that. They seethe, bang, brush, thud. These Yeerks, they sloop, they search. Oh my God. They even frolic, you know? But why yet does the heart long for something more? Tell me, these Yeerks, do they cavort? We know the answer to this, but anyway, nay. These Yeerks, they cavort no more. Where are the cavorting Yeerks of yesteryear? Where are the cavorting Yeerks of yesteryear? Where are the cavorting Yeerks of yesteryear? Yeerks of yesteryear. Well, oh my God, there's more. One after another, the Yeerk continue to bump into Rachel. She suddenly understands why the creatures make no effort to avoid her. They're blind. Some of the senses must guide them to the ear of a host. Some other sense must guide them to the ear of the host. Rachel floats towards the steel pier where hosts become controllers, where they graduate and matriculate. She hides beneath it and listens as the human woman the
singular human woman, the tall woman, the woman as tall as a nail.
Yes. Forced down onto the pier with her ear exposed to the writhing Yeerks, pleading to be released until she isn't. Rachel imagines morphing into a shark and devouring the Yeerks until a controller offs her with a Draken beam. But instead, she returns to her human form just as she is hidden beneath the steel pier. Yeah, this is the realization of her nightmare. This is the estranged version.
She witnesses it.
She witnesses it. Yeah. And she's helpless to intervene in this moment, but she wants to. Also, interesting shark callback. Marco wants to use a shark at one point to like step out of human ethics and responsibility and morality and fear and all those emotion sets.
Yeah.
Just, they had shark on the brain.
They did.
And this is also what listener Stephanie predicted.
Yes.
She suggested
that there would be a time.
Yes, it's true.
No, she wanted to not fly. You don't fly a shark. She wanted
I believe it was like
morph into a shark, swim up through the sewer system.
And munch on those little potato boys.
Yeah,
I believe
like
was the exact quote.
Chunky little potato boys, maybe?
Right, which was fetish content insert if I ever heard one. But
sort of like litter box chocolate.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we all have skin in the game here. Yeah, no, it's really true. Well called. Well called, Steph. That's pretty epic.
This chapter, like, I don't know, I feel like we learn a bit in the, like, we learn that the Yeerks don't seem to have tangible, like, senses of the tangible world that would cause them to do anything about there being something in the pool with them. But we never learn how they know to go into a human ear, and then all we know is that Rachel makes sure to keep her ears above the fluid in order to not get yeerked once she turns human.
Yeah, it's giving that Survivor challenge where you're in the cage and the tide's rising.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're breathing between the little bars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last gasp. It is nuts how big of a leap the Yeerks seem to have made when they took on a host, because living the life that they do in their natural state doesn't seem like they would leap to building empire across the galaxy.
I see what you're saying. It's like, why would they know what to do once they're in your brain?
Yeah.
Like, what makes them qualified if they're essentially... Because I'll tell you what, you put an earthworm in my brain, it's going to tickle a lot, but it's not going to get a lot
unless
done.
they're learning, unless they're absorbing knowledge.
Yeah.
Collectively? Like they're sharing it
like
through
a
their
hive mind?
osmosis
I don't
nodes?
think so.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, yeah, it would be very individual. So the fact that they seem to have civilization is nuts.
I feel like there's a version of this where some sort of like very fast evolution happened here, where they used to be able to do more, because otherwise they just existed in a pool and hoped somebody stuck their head in. Like, I don't understand.
I know, right? Well, and they got the Geds first. I think they said
No,
that
they
at
moved
some
up to
point.
the Geds, right?
The Geds were like their first hosts.
Oh, okay.
But like, could they maybe move around a bit more before then? And then as they became more optimized for existing in a brain, they became less optimized for existing outside of one type of thing.
Oh, like originally they were like a parrot that sat on your shoulder and you're like captain. And
not
then
exactly.
later they're a parrot that climbs into your ear and says...
Sort of. I meant more like something that could at least crawl around and actively
or like
invest
one of those
something.
Like hats that has cup holders for beer, but instead there's two parrots that are arguing about what you should do next.
You know what?
That would be fun.
Yeah.
But you know that they're only repeating back phrases that they've heard, so their advice just rings really hollow. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's true. And then one of them starts imitating a car alarm.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think like Yeerks pose a huge question. Maybe there's, because we know that there's like, you know, like there's a bit of a tabula rasa or Deus Ex Machina or whatever, where it's that one maybe, where like the Elemist has involvement and we know there's a dark force on the other side. Maybe there was a bit of a boost. Maybe some, maybe I'm not saying they're inherently bad, but maybe they were created by some entity. Maybe they were intelligent design of a sort. And maybe they're the only thing that could be accurately displayed at the Creationist Museum.
It is so strange that it seems that in order to even communicate, which also means probably developing communication, right? They had to have first been in hosts. So the fact that,
I don't know. I would think that there's some way that they psychically communicate in the pool, but I don't know that I have anything to back that up.
I don't know. I will say this. There's a lot of, what's the word? Rachel narration that talks about her fight to continue through this horrifying moment after having basically echoed Edelman and falling from a high height into the Yeerk pool to the lowest imaginable place after having watched someone been yeerked. All that dark stuff we were talking about the last two episodes, she is narrating to herself why she has to keep fighting, why she can't give up, why she wants to take a cathartic route, why she wants to just maybe like, but she's like, I'm not going to just die here as a one-winged bat. Like, and a lot of direct refuting of like, it's interesting because she does seem to be arguing against the concept of like suicide as giving up. And that is her, like, seems to be her like rhetoric with it. Like her relationship to it is that Edelman was doing X. We're going to try and understand this behavior. And then she's like offering an alternative experience in this moment or something along those lines. I didn't say that super clearly, but I hope it makes some sense. It feels like the way she's narrating me as a reader, she's refuting something.
Yeah, it feels like even though she didn't ever express understanding where Edelman came from, in this moment she provides her perspective on why she disagrees with it, even if she never quite put into words how she views what he did.
Yeah, which I don't mean to say that the book gets this right by any means.
Right.
I just
This
mean
is
to
just
say
her
that
opinion.
it seems
Yeah.
to be here. Yeah, it seems to be something coming out of the book to me when I was rereading it. But again, I've hallucinated stuff I'm just but a humble Yeerks chat GPT. So I hallucinate all the time.
I do see, for some reason, the risk of, I didn't really see Rachel actually considering succumbing to death or dying here. Like I read it mostly as her being intent to survive.
No, but she directly refutes the idea is the point I'm trying
Earlier
to make.
in the
She's
book.
speaking.
She said,
no,
no. She says here, I won't
this
do
chapter.
this.
Yeah.
She literally refutes the idea and stands in opposition to it, which is the way in which it's not that she literally a second ago was considering it, but by lending an oppositional argument, she gives that credence to a narrative in the book or something like that.
But that would be a suicide mission. Maybe there was still some way to stay alive.
And she also juxtaposes it with her instinct to do something that would cause damage, but that also would certainly end in her death. Like, she's making a decision to stay alive as opposed to just making a decision to cause harm. And like,
a lot of her first thoughts involve her being harmed as a result. Like, her first ideas are like, I could be a Sharky boy. I could just do this. I could save that woman right now at the expense of myself.
Yeah.
Oh, one little, like, literary note. Just the very end of the chapter. So she's morphing into a human, I think?
yeah, she morphs to human because then she's going to morph again.
I was larger now, a lot larger, so more and more Yeerk slugs were banging into me. She's morphing into a human, I think.
Yep.
Or brushing past me. Oh, for my hammerhead shark's razor teeth. But that wasn't the way to survive.
Yeah.
Just like, there's not a lot of stuff like that in these books where, like, something very theatrical. It's usually Visser 3.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Shall we move on? Rachel morphs to
is this
human.
one? Oh,
and
no, this is an Eddie read.
Yeah, this is an Eddie.
Yeah,
Back to Eddie.
we got you. All right, take it away.
Chapter 22. Rachel morphs into an ant, the whole time fighting to stay above the surface. But then, upon completing the morph, the ant's natural buoyancy and small size helps her float along the surface. Rachel is surfing the Yeerk pool. A wave comes along and crashes down on the pier. Rachel manages to grab onto the steel structure, pulling herself out of the Yeerk pool. And then she scurries towards the warmth of a body being infested. Turns out it's a human. Rachel hides inside the collar of their shirt, momentarily safe, though she has no idea whether any of her friends can say the same. Are any of them even still alive?
Do you think Stephanie read book 17 and that's why
Maybe.
she said what she said? Because it's super weird that she had the shark idea.
But she also had the shark traveling through the pipes to get there.
She did say she'd been playing that game where you just rampage as a shark on land a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's possible. I mean, I don't know her life.
I mean, like when
We could bring
like,
her onto a mini-sode and interrogate her.
Maybe we can get a quick answer from the source.
Maybe she repressed the memory.
Oh my god.
Maybe she burped the memory like a croc.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And it came out like a shark trying to
On a
attack
skateboard.
Marco when they
I
got
know.
the shark morph
Hell
back
yeah.
in. I don't know. All right.
Rachel walks on water. I know it's not water. You know it's not water. We all know it's not water. The book repeatedly refers to it as water. So, yeah, we get Rachel.
It's Yeerk lube.
Yeah.
It's Yeerk lube.
We get
And
Rachel as a
apparently-
Christ figure here, walking on water.
I hear
and also-
Enya. I hear Enya playing while she...
I do. There's a description of the pillar she's climbing, And it's actually a pretty helpful description for me. It's one of the few, it's like, remember back when they were doing the truck ship and they were talking about things in the size of school buses? And I was like, I know that. This was like, it's like a redwood directly in front of me, 50 times bigger. Good size description. That's better than a average height tall woman.
But what I don't understand is why she doesn't just say that it's a diving board.
What?
Why doesn't she just say that the pier is a diving board?
Is a diving board. That would be
it's not a diving board.
It would be, it could be if you wanted it.
It's the Yeerk dives up.
Yeah. It's an upward dive. Very difficult.
It's an upward diving board. Yeah.
Do you think they're jumping into the host's ear? You think they're actually flinging themselves out of the slot water?
No, because they shove their heads in the fluid.
Dude, the whole Yeerk organization system is so frustrating to me because, there's no way you're getting the same Yeerk. This is like a Yeerk temp agency.
It's like, excuse me, that's my Yeerk.
It's like, there's no order.
Yeah,
here.
the important Yeerks have their own,
such a tiny pool.
It's
like little, wine glasses.
They seem
full
to
of Yeerk
enjoy
glue
their
that
systems.
They just drop you in.
They enjoy their order, their system so much, and then they just have this pot of refried beans that you get.
You're exactly right. That is the thing. And you know what? This is the second time we've seen this with that freaking hot tub.
The therapy tub. Yeah.
The therapy tub.
Yeah. And so we could have talked about this last chapter. Do we think the fact that the Yeerks are no longer cavorting is a sign that morale has fallen? I think that's what they're at. Frolic now.
I do.
Cavorting is
right.
they were confident. The Animorphs they didn't know about the Animorph threat yet. The Andalite bandits, but now we've lowered down to Frolic, which is the next step.
You think Frolic is below cavort? Okay.
It's like, do you remember when George Bush would come out and be like, the terror threat is orange?
Yeah.
It's
or Smokey the Bear kind of system. Maybe they have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Smokey comes out and is like, we're at a frolic level. The fire is frolicking from tree to tree. I don't know how Smokey the Bear sounds.
Yeah.
I don't really know for fireworks
something like
either.
That. Yeah.
What would the Yeerks have instead of Smokey the Bear?
Slappy
they would
the
have
frog.
Yeerky the boy. Oh, Slappy the frog. I actually think we just take Yeerky boy from up the page and just make it Yeerky the boy.
I think it's Yeerky the boy and Slappy the frog. And I don't know where they got Slappy the frog in Yeerk culture.
Oh, man. What if
a real big Mitch Hedberg fan?
What if there was for some reason, do you remember when there were all those indie white rappers in the aughts?
Yeah.
I'm just imagining.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But I'm thinking that one of them would be called Beef Yeerky. MC. That'd be really good.
Is that Visser 2?
Great. Yes, Visser 2 is Beef Yeerky.
Yeah.
The Eminem of Yeerk rappers.
Yeah. Oh, I hope Visser 2 is a Yeerk who has assimilated into human culture more than Visser 1 and Visser 3.
Yes, Visser 2 is...
He just wants to have a good time. We know that. He has a sense of humor. I forget what he did earlier in the book that established this, yeah. Okay, I don't really understand what the wake is like in this Yeerk pool. I feel like it's hard for me
I think it's low.
It's low. And yet there's a big enough wave to throw Rachel the ant onto the pier.
Ants are pretty small.
But the wave seems like it gets some height, right? How high above the Yeerk pool do we think the pier is?
Maybe this is how they get...
She climbs the pillar, though. She just has to get onto the pillar and climb up.
Right.
And then another wave comes and dislodges her bottom two legs.
Do you remember when we were talking about the chocolate stirrers so maybe there's a big robotic arm just under the surface that when it's time to Yeerk someone creates a little wave. And then the little Yeerk gets up there and does, I'm queen of the world. I'm on top of the world. And then just perfectly dives up into the air.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I like it especially because I wasn't imagining the ant with this much grace, but I think that's actually what happened here. Yeah.
I think it's the most graceful ant in existence.
She is a gymnast, and she could bring that to any one of her morphs.
It's conching, isn't it? They conch it's conching the chocolate.
It is conching.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it is conching.
Because I was trying to look it up, and they.
You know what? That might be the one phrase that sounds like a sex act. It isn't yet.
What is a chocolate conch?
Conching the chocolate does sound like a book of erotic poetry, though.
It does, doesn't it? It's beautiful. I'm sure it would be beautiful. I would cry. I would cry to hear it read.
I don't think that conching the chocolate is recommended by most doctors, though. I don't think
well, as long as you take proper precautions, you know what I mean?
Hep C is the only real concern.
I'm sorry, Hep C. I thought you said Pepsi, and I was like...
Also good. I don't know.
The only concern is if your partner uses Pepsi instead of Coke, and there's just a lot more sugar, you know what I mean? That's a big mix-up.
Conching is a process used in the manufacture of chocolate whereby a surface scraping mixer and agitator known as a conch evenly distributes the cocoa butter within chocolate and may even act as a polisher of the particles.
Yeah.
So it's like top, conch, bottom. Is that the idea?
Yes.
Like conch is in the it's not
somewhere
verse.
in between.
Verse is top and bottom.
Yeah. We've got it combines
conch is somewhere
mixing, agitating, and aerating.
That's important.
This is a full service, right?
That's
here.
a Leo, I think. A Leo combines.
A Leo, right? Yes.
Mixing, agitating, and aerating.
Okay, on to chapter 23.
Chapter 23. Take it away. Is this Miranda? This is Miranda.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. Okay. Aunt Rachel rides her human controller across the Yeerk underground base, hoping they'll bring her inside one of the buildings and therefore closer to a safe place to demorph. From her perch on the human, Aunt Rachel feels a breeze, senses a change in light. She's not certain that the controller entered a building, but this might be the chance might be the only chance she get. Well, whatever.
Yeah, that only.
Aunt Rachel jumps off the controller's shoulder, tumbling to the floor.
Is
My
this
wind
also?
chimes in the distance. Oh, no, I was going to say my wind chimes in the distance.
Keep going.
Aunt Rachel scurries until she finds herself in darkness again and returns to human. She arms herself with a goddamn Draken beam and fucking obliterates a Hork-Bajir controller that obliviously enters the storeroom. Well, okay, she stuns the Hork-Bajir and then a human controller as well who follows the Hork-Bajir. Rachel steals clothes from the controller to hide her morph suit. That is a thing. I was like, what the fuck is a morph suit? I was picturing the full body
It's actually one
things.
level up from a birthday suit, if you think about it.
Well, like the full body cover green screen things are called morph suits. So I was like, why is she wearing a morph suit? To hide her morph suit and moves to the next room. A human controller sits at a desk there, facing away from Rachel. Zap! She doesn't even have to hide the unconscious body, as he'll just appear to be asleep on the job. Rachel exits the building, ready to pass as just another human controller. She really needs to find her friends. She gets a DKNY jacket, or a blazer even, and she takes her glasses, and she says they only kind of distort her vision around the edges. So I want to know, does this woman not really need the glasses, or does Rachel also need glasses?
That's a really good question. Probably a mix of both.
Yeah.
Quick side question. DKNY, is that Donk Knee Kong? Is that like short for... Like, DKNY, Donk Knee Kong is here.
Oh, man. Just insert the whole... Do you know, the whole DK rap is actually pretty long. I know because a streamer I watch made it a thing that you could send him back to the... He did a crowd control stream of a randomized Donkey Kong 64. And he had... If you... Like, it got more expensive each time, but it, like, was a thing you could fund that would just send him back to the DK rap. And it was just, it basically just added like 6 full minutes that he got to just sit there and listen to the DK rap.
Anyway, I also want to point out, Rachel shoots first. Like Han Solo in Star Wars, she does not wait. She gets that Draken beam. She's like, there's a settings thing on the side. And she's like, middle looks good to me.
Also, she opens the crate with the Draken beam. She's like, there's a button. I'm gonna press it.
Yeah. And she was opening boxes and she was talking about how like she's in this storeroom with all these boxes with alien letters on it. And just like we know the Yeerks are so about organization usually, the Yeerk pool being the one exception, but is there like a Yeerky decimal system or something like that?
Chris,
like
you're branding everything Yeerky tonight. This is
true.
Yes, well, and when I'm elected Yeerk president, I plan to make the Yeerk brand stronger than ever. By
this is good for you.
Outlawing salt and making sure that all the TVs are off because the bright colors hurt my head when I'm in. Well, not my head, but the person's head that I'm in. And Chris's head, by extension.
I think your salt is maple ginger oatmeal. Instant oatmeal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm running on an all maple.
We should try to make a maple ginger oatmeal as like an experiment sometime.
We should next time we're watching the TV show, I will order packets of that to everybody's house.
Well, it's not a real
so
flavor,
that we can eat it while we're watching the TV show.
So we'll just get maple and then we'll put ginger in it.
Like ginger, shaved ginger maybe or something.
Either grated ginger, you could do powdered ginger, you could do ginger paste.
We'll workshop it. I kind of felt like this chapter was like, you know when a game that's otherwise an action game tries to insert like one stealth level? That's what I feel like we got here.
Yep.
It also has Hitman level vibes, which we had Hitman levels seen from afar, but now Rachel's actually stealing clothes and dressing herself in.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's not finding places to dump the bodies, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. My other two notes that I just thought about it as this chapter rounded out and she got her grown-up cosplay again, because she cosplayed earlier as like a lawyer assistant or a shoeless lawyer.
Yeah.
And I'm just a simple country shoeless lawyer. But in this moment, she actually finds some like corporate appropriate clothes and is about to go like pretend to be a person out in the Yeerk pool who's allowed to be there, like a voluntary controller. And I just think that that's such like, it's giving like, I'm sorry, I keep saying it's giving, but it's like, it's so like, here, I'll borrow another phrase. It's very glass ceiling gender gap girl boss coded.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it really hits. I don't know. There's something about like once I had that Xena click that happened a couple episodes ago, I just like something clicked about the era this was in and how the 90s was like a response, but also a continuation of the 80s.
Yeah.
And, like,
this is really, though, her arc here really is gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like she's gatekeeping by dragon beaming people. She's gaslighting by pretending to be someone she's not, and also
it's true. Obvious girl boss.
She occasionally points to people and is like, "That's one of them," and like runs the other way. That's very gaslighty.
But
it's one of the best.
The only glimmer of hope here is that I don't think she ultimately wins by working with others. Like she does work with her friends here, right?
Oh,
like,
yes.
Oh, totally.
In the end.
Oh, yeah. I had a theory about that I'll hit in a second. Well, just like, what is the significance of her going into Antmorph in that situation? Because there is this like, so she goes into Antmorph, and here's the thing that I noticed. She goes into Antmorph, she's in the Yeerk pool, collectives are bad, the swarm is bad. She's going into Antmorph because it is the one morph that can like serve her here, and she's chosen.
She's swarming the swarm?
She's swarming the swarm.
But she's also one ant, there's no swarm.
That's true.
That's true, but I like this, like, check this out for size. So she turns into an ant. The collective thing is there. So when she is on the collar of the person and she's riding the collar of the guy who gets yeerked and she jumps off, she has this extended sequence in the book where she's like talking about how like it was jumping from such a high height again, and she's falling, but the ant being so small has the advantage of reaching a very low terminal velocity relative to its weight, so it can't get hurt by the fall. And in that, I kind of see it's like spiritual, like she's being held by and that's the thing. The ant lives for the hive. The shark decision was about prioritizing what she wanted in that moment and risking her life. But the ant puts her in that more like, no, I got to do it for the group.
So the ant has like a cohesion element.
It's like a delayed moment where as an ant, she falls at the right speed, which her friends could have helped her with, but she shooed them away just a moment earlier. There's this like, it's not real. I'm a ChatGPT.
Yeah, that one went a little too far. I was with you up until that one.
I think that there's a little ghost Tobias ant and a little ghost Cassie ant that they're doing a little
She's got a little guardian angel.
It's like the beginning of the Power Rangers movie.
Now, Chris, what about your note here?
They're skydiving.
I love that they skydived. That was so
amazing.
cool.
Chris, do you want to get to your note here about
not really.
Remember to bring up the birth of Venus for when Rachel's riding the wave into the pier?
You mean how Venus was born? Not the...
Are you talking about the piece of art?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Or do you mean the
That's
actual...
not mine.
No, I'm making it up. I'm saying it's another level of interpretation you have here.
It is. I'm
teasing. I'm just playing.
Oh,
You're just
because I was going to
jealous.
say, I mean, that is like a whole, like, Aphrodite in one of the stories, she is just sort of like a sperm fell in the ocean and she walked out one day.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what we're doing here except hallucinating.
Yeah.
Rachel's got a
End of
gun.
sentence.
Oh, wait, so Jamie's got a gun, not to Scotty doesn't know.
Rachel's got a gun.
Yeah, I did it to Scotty doesn't
it's
know.
It's an older reference.
Rachel's got a gun. Scotty doesn't know. Rachel's got a gun.
Seemingly there were only 2 hunter bots in this whole Yeerk base. And I think
I know.
They only got caught by 2.
it must be a high-level thing, like the controllers.
Yeah, they're up very high. They didn't follow her down.
Oh, my
also,
God!
Oh, I wanted to do a quick note. I think she's just a common brown bat. I don't think she's a vampire bat. That was a while ago, but I don't think she's a vampire bat.
Unless,
What
You
if,
just saw Nosferatu recently and had it on the brain.
or
I
really
get it.
want to see it, because I haven't seen it yet.
I've seen it.
Really?
It was pretty good.
Yeah?
I liked it.
Question.
Do we think that they got the hunter bots, because, aka the, what do I call them? The Zoomy boys?
Zoomy boys.
Because they found out a red-tailed hawk had stowed away up towards the top of the Yeerk base for a while. How did it go 3 hours just hanging out up there, and then it flew away? And then, so they got the Zoomy boys.
I think it's most likely something like that. They're learning for sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was about to say. I've been thinking this whole time about how, like, maybe the name of our, like, Applegate podcast could also have, like, a subtitle that's, like, AKA KA's comeuppance or something like that. Or, like, yeah, like, because it's AKA, also, like, Applegate, also known as KA.
AKA KA's Q&A.
Exactly. AKA, yes, AKA
That's
KA's
after
Q&A.
she calls us.
That's really fucking good. Thank you. That's the joke. That's like, that is top tier. That's really good. I've been distracted thinking about it for a minute now, and I wasn't getting there.
Chapter 24?
Chapter 24. Who's
Rachel wanders around the Yeerk pool, searching for her friends, as well as a possible exit. She learns quite a bit during the search. This Yeerk underground base is always growing, learning, expressing, with construction equipment ever at work to expand this cave. Already, it is big enough to hold a warehouse, armories, administration buildings, a motor pool, and a cafeteria for each major species of controller. Then, she finds Axe surrounded by a large group of Hork-Bajir, at least 30. They bind him and knock him to the ground, dragging him away. Rachel learns from another controller that they already have 2 suspicious bats in captivity. Worse, Visser 3 is on his way. Rachel follows Axe and the controllers to where he's being imprisoned. Outside the windowless building, where he's being held, Rachel hears Marco broadcasting to her from an unknown morph. If she's listening, he thought speaks, Jake and Tobias have also been captured. Marco hasn't located Cassie either. Rachel listens, frustrated that she can't reply because she's not in morph. She is in girl boss morph, but that doesn't have thought speak.
Yeah.
Where is Cassie? What if she's hurt? How long do Jake and Tobias have until they're trapped in morph forever or hurt by their captors? Rachel is at least comforted by the fact that nothing more will happen to Jake and Tobias until Visser 3 arrives. And then opportunity strikes. Rachel watches as a human controller is imprisoned for secretly bringing maple ginger oatmeal into the base. This is apparently an ongoing problem, as the Yeerks have already confiscated 200 pounds of the shit and still have it secured on site. A bad idea.
Yeah.
200 pounds, Rachel thinks. That's a lot of oatmeal to eat in one sitting. Time to get to work.
This human controller did just have Raisin Bran, actually, and she was trying to make the point about fiber, and I just want to say, let a bitch be regular.
Get your fiber.
Wait,
Get
it
your
wasn't
fiber.
really?
Yeah, it was Raisin Bran.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You just believe authority figures, that's what your problem is. You just take
Well,
them
they
at their
tell me
word.
they're right.
No, she's like, there's been a mistake, and they're like, oh, it's a mistake. What do you call this? And she's like, it's just cereal. It's something the humans call Raisin Bran, which I guess wasn't trademarked at the time.
Then
She says human bodies need fiber in order to function properly.
this could be a really big hole for their plan, because do they have, 200 pounds of...
Human pounds.
Yes.
Human pounds.
Or do they have
Whatever that
200
means.
pounds of Raisin Bran?
That's true.
No. It's probably going to be a mix.
It's a mix.
It's probably,
At least some of it's going to be oatmeal.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
When they catch X, to disarm him, they put a little tail scabbard on his tail. On his little towel.
I love imagining the cute acts from all the fan art we've seen in these situations. I mean, maybe not.
Dude, I don't know that this one would be cute. They kind of kick him to the ground and drag him.
But it's his big eyes, and they kind of filling up with water like SpongeBob, like that.
I like the idea of like them stealing this tail scabbard so that they can just like use it so that he doesn't have to be as careful about his tail when he like comes to the barn or something.
Napping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or when he's napping.
Yeah,
Rachel.
Do you think baby andalites once their blade grows in, they hurt themselves with it a couple times before they get used to it?
They get like a baby tooth on their tail, teething. And then they lose it, and then they get the real tail.
Yeah.
They get their real blade.
Their wisdom
that's
tail.
Definitely it.
The wisdom tail. It's like baby elephants learning to like take water into their trunk and spit it out.
This is like the DARE era, right? For the drugs. It's like the DARE shirt. Yeah. Anyway, it's like, I guess a little late for that, but I just vaguely remember that.
Okay.
Growing up.
So we hear about this society that the controllers are building down here, right? They each have their own restaurant. I'm guessing there's a bar. Do we think they have a tiki bar? Is that the humor?
I think they have a little beach club.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's like a little
for the
beach
voluntary
club.
Controllers, they said.
For the voluntary
controllers, they have
controllers,
to make it show how much fun they're having.
It's called sharing core. It's called the sharing core because the sharing primarily happens at beach locations. Occasionally alpine like woods kind of vibes, but it's mostly
with water
beach.
skis.
Yeah, I think
slippery.
I think the Beach Boys invented the sharing aesthetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we think that they have night volleyball? It's always night volleyball down in the...
It's always night volleyball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Underground, it's always no other kind.
Mm-hmm. There's no other kind. It's nighttime all the time down here. Rachel, when she finds Axe is captured, there's like one of the controllers is like talking about like they caught like blah blah blah, we got his ass, and Rachel like that controller starts laughing and Rachel starts laughing too.
Yeah,
and it just seems like one of the it seems like one of those like forced infectious laughters.
Yeah.
It's like and I bet you she took it a little too far. Like her eyes just got really
But
big.
Yeerks are crazy, so it all tracks. I will say they're like, and it will keep going a bit, not being able to respond to Marco because she's in human morph made me so nervous this whole time. I was
thought
like,
she was just
it
gonna say
really
something
upset
out loud.
me that he was trying to reach out and she couldn't answer. I
Yeah.
was like, no.
But I have to clarify something. When she is in the Yeerk pool, she cannot thought speak her friends. I thought that was because she couldn't see them, right?
I mean, they were far apart, but I think
I think it's just a far apart.
But she
thing,
didn't
and
even
also
try
more
calling
she's-
out like Marco did.
Well, she yelled out, "Don't chase after me." So she probably was hoping that they got away.
But
so
it's
she was
also
hoping
when
that
she's
they
under
wouldn't
the
even be
really
here.
big. It's also really big underground.
So what is it like a personality difference that Marco is? Can you send private messages if you don't see the person?
He's
Yeah.
within like 100
Oh,
yards.
but
of
also
her.
like he might be broadcasting though. That's a good point because he's trying to find both of them. But no, maybe
You're
all
saying
you need to
Rachel
do, maybe you can
particularly,
like select them like a contact. You know what I mean?
I think
you've
I
had
think
a
it's
private,
like texting.
yeah.
I think it's like texting. Yeah. It's like direct messaging.
They also
If that makes more sense to you, Eddie, is that clear if I use the full phrase direct messaging instead of like DMing or texting?
Yeah, it helps.
We have also had them just talking to the whole group before. Is that true? Just like they have like an Animorphs group chat. Mm-hmm. So
Do you
like
think they
maybe he
have
was using that.
group chats where they leave one person.
Oh, for sure.
It's always Tobias.
totally.
It's always Tobias.
No,
It's always Tobias.
No, it depends on the topic, right? So, like, Tobias gets left out of some, Axe gets left out of some that are more human related, like, you know.
Oh, Marco gets left out of a lot because he says some edgelord shit that he heard on TV the night before, and they're like, we're going to talk to
And he
Marco.
sends a lot of memes, too, I think.
Yes, it's
nothing but
non-stop
memes.
memes.
Thanks Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!